God, they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm pissed off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.
I am thrilled to announce that we have partnered up with 𝗕𝗪𝗪𝗧, a massive play-to-earn, build-to-earn, and learn-to-earn blockchain-based game built on the Cardano ecosystem. We've partnered up with 𝗕𝗪𝗪𝗧 to provide avatar clothing, and we are launching our first product, which is the racer suit, the 𝗕𝗪𝗪𝗧 racer NFT. This will be minted some point mid-December, so do stay tuned for more details. Are you game? Let me know in the comments below. My name is Nick, and today, guys, we are going to be talking about Bitcoin. We're going to be taking a look at the weekly standpoint, what the weekly close is currently looking like, what we might expect around that, and what might actually occur next week as we usher in another week closer to the end of 2022. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, smash the like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will stay up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, you're missing a trick, guys. Linked in the description down below. Go ahead and check it out. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. It's a centralized hub of everything that we do here. It's the first place we go to notify everyone of what is going on in the space. All right, let's get right down into this, right? So let's bring up the desktop. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about this one. This is Bitcoin paired up with USDT. On the weekly chart, Binance is our data source here, okay? And I want to kind of just really focus in on what's happened down in this low area here. We haven't really seen the fallout yet of FTX. There's a lot of companies that are involved, are kind of linked to it in some way, shape, or form. And, you know, this is going to get quite messy before it gets better. We talk about this pretty much every day on Twitch via the stream that we do there, and we're following the money, and the money is bleeding out, and only really retail money is flooding in here to try to prop the price up. That is not going to last forever. So what do we actually see here? Well, we can see that we had this area over here from the June low. Okay, we've kind of moved up. This was an area of demand. Basically, lots of buying pressure was occurring right down here. We obviously saw this get broken, but we yet to retest this area to see whether this is now the area that has gone from demand to supply. Are we going to start seeing this particular range be the resistance for Bitcoin, as in unable to really push on through it? And that's kind of my expectations. Normally when you see these kind of things, these previous areas of demand, you can tend to find that they turn into an area of supply. Just think of it this way. Maybe someone bought here, and actually now they've broken that low point. They're just looking to try to get their money back. They're going to sell when it comes back up into that range because they've lost the confidence, specifically with everything FTX as well. So we want to be really aware that this is not a good sign, right? This is an interesting thing to kind of keep an eye on, but it's not a positive. Now, if I throw on here a couple of the EMAs, we've got the 50 EMA, that's the blue line, and the 200 EMA, that is our 200 EMA, which is the white line just there, right? So what do we see? Well, we see that we broke the 200 EMA just over here. This is the June low, right? A lot of people getting far too excited down at this particular point as well. And then instead, what do we see? We see a retest of the line, and we got rejected from it, okay? So we can see that this 200 EMA, which is typically used as an area to kind of filter out trends, right? If we're trending down, usually you're going to be below this line, and if you're trending up, you're going to be above it. That's kind of how people use it. A lot of traditional traders using Forex and things like that, they look at the 200 EMA and they try to say, okay, well, if we break below it, then we're going to be bearish, and if we go above it, then we're going to be bullish, and basically only long positions if you're above and only short positions if you're below. There's lots of kind of standard practices with it. Now, above and beyond that, though, we should acknowledge that we have a 50 EMA, okay? So although we've broken the 200, we're testing the 200, got rejected, and we've obviously fallen down quite a bit, we should also be aware that, we broke this area on the 50 EMA as well. Now, we did this a few times, okay? It's not as strong. This is more of a smaller time frame kind of EMA. Now, here we can see that we were testing it quite a bit, and we got rejected, and we obviously fell through. Now, what I want to draw people's attention to is this area just here. This gap is closing, right? And we can see that pretty clearly. Now, with this gap, when your 50 EMA crosses a 200 EMA, they call this a death cross. Now, they call it a death cross because it's pretty bearish in the way that it works, as in your smaller time frame is now lower than your larger time frame. And vice versa, when it crosses in positively, and basically the 50 EMA crosses the 200 EMA to the upside, that's generally called a golden cross, right? So we're looking at a death cross at the moment as potentially a few weeks out, and the people are going to react to that. So people aren't really paying terribly too much attention to this yet. It hasn't happened, obviously. You can see there's still a reasonable gap there, but it is something that we should be aware of, okay? If we do see a cross here on these two lines, we're going to be in bearish situation, not bullish situation, okay? So we want to be aware of that. So just think about it. It's not there yet, and obviously these are laggy indicators. These are just lagging behind, and they're telling you what is or what already has happened, okay? The last 50 weeks bars have been going down. Therefore, the average of the 50, over 50 weeks, the average price has been decreasing, right? It's very, very obvious. Likewise, with a 200 EMA here, it gives you 200 weeks worth of what is the average price. And when those two things cross, what is it really telling you? It's just telling you that the shorter time price is actually now lower than the longer term price. And that would be deemed as a bearish kind of sentiment. So just kind of keep it in mind. You know, there's a lot of people telling you that we're going to the freaking moon again. And I just don't see it, okay? And there's many reasons for it. Even looking at the charts like this, they don't give you good positive kind of outlooks. That being said, following the money and actually who's selling and who's buying, which is also a really interesting key metric, which we talk about on Twitch, is basically showing us that big money is leaving and only really retail money is coming in. And I don't think that retail money has long left. I think we're going to see some pretty bearish times once those retailers actually require their funds back. They're going to be selling at a loss just to kind of capture as much of that value as possible before it goes down to quote unquote zero, which I don't think it will go to zero, of course, but you kind of get the idea. There's going to be a lot of fear in the space when that time does come. A lot of things that we're seeing in the space outside of the charts here are decrease in savings accounts. People are basically utilizing their savings right now to survive with the inflation and everything else. Okay, so you're seeing that people still want to live a certain lifestyle and they're using their savings to do so. So savings in accounts are decreasing. Whilst that's happening, at the same time, you also have credit card debt increasing. Okay, so those two things are telling you that people are still trying to live up to a lifestyle that they cannot afford. And as such, that money will eventually run out. We estimate probably 3 to 6 months, and then, you know, the shit really will hit the fan, because essentially there's no more credit cards. They've all been maxed out. There's no more savings to dive into. People are going to have to adjust their lifestyle or dive into other assets, other things like their stocks, their crypto, and liquidate those if they want to continue their lifestyle. So chances are that this is going to get a lot worse if you just follow the actual economic climate rather than just a couple of candles on a chart. Okay, so following the money, it's not looking good. Following the economic climate doesn't look good. Looking at this chart here, in my opinion, doesn't look good. But let's jump down into some smaller time frames. Let's actually just clear some of this out, and so we can focus in a little bit here. Okay, so we can see that we came up to this little supply zone. This is on our 4-hour chart. This is pretty much as we were expecting. It's on the lower side of it, of course, but it is right within our little supply zone here. We got rejected from it, but we did meet this little demand zone. You can see that run right in there as well. So on the smaller time frames, again, we're still looking pretty positive for BTC here. You know, we are trading sideways. I know some people here are going to think of this as a bit maybe of a bull flag or something to that effect. Essentially, we are in a triangular wedge pattern. People will draw their trend lines lots of different ways though, so just be a little bit cautious on that. If I actually draw these up and follow it in like this, you can kind of see that we're in this triangle pattern. Okay, not so much a flag pattern. Flag patterns are more like, let me find the parallel channel. It would be more like this, and these tend to break upwards, right? But we aren't in that particular area. I mean, you could, if you really wanted to try to make it fit, do it there and bring this one into our trend line. You could try to make it fit like that, but you have to ignore a few of these additional things as well. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I just don't think it's really what is going to happen. And the reason for that is we can see a clear A, B, and C structure here. Now, if I do go ahead and draw this on and we pull this over to here, our 1-to-1 ratio was at 17,380, and you can see that we wicked up here to 17,320. So very, very close to our 1-to-1 ratio. Now, the other way of looking at this is people people are going to be thinking, well, maybe that's not what's going on. Maybe we just ignore that side and just look at this side here. Anything to kind of get those bullish sentiments flowing, I guess. This you could look at maybe coming up to this upper range of around 18,185, right? And you can kind of see that. If you ignore this A wave and the B wave and just think that maybe you're starting down here, then you would have something that might look like that. Okay, and it's possible my wave counts are wrong, and we could always think about this 18,190 area. You know, it's marked up here for a reason. It's also this area high point that I have up on this B wave, and this B wave high point could be a double top with our wicks all the way from over here on the 10th of November. Basically, we are looking at coming down though towards $13,000 at some point, potentially even up as high as 14,700. So there is a little bit of a range in that. If I bring this up into our daily chart, bring this down here, you can kind of see this range right here. Between the 14,753 down to as low as 13,175, and you can kind of see it within there. So you can still push up higher. It's not a problem. I just don't think it's really something that we're going to see. So let's come back down, and this time we'll just bring this to the hourly. Let me just get rid of this and pull this back up here a little moment. So you can kind of see this pattern coming in and forming in a little bit, right? And so therefore, if I bring this up, you can see that the hourly chart's coming down. This is pretty typical over the weekend. You can kind of see that we're overbought to oversold to overbought and coming down to oversold. Doesn't give us a clear indication. Weekend volumes are not great. Now, if I come over to the 4-hour, we've got some progression to the upside. So we could be thinking maybe retesting our supply zone just at the top there. That's a possibility. We can definitely see the volume, the momentum on the stochastic RSI there. On the 8-hour, we've got some progression to the downside though. So again, we might actually have to tap the demand zone one more time before we actually have that move to the upside. That could be interesting. And then if that does happen on this 8-hourly chart and we do just come down into this lower range a little bit, then I would feel a little bit more comfortable in thinking that maybe we are in more of a bullish bull flag kind of scenario. I just don't think so right now though. This moment is a bit inconclusive for that. Now on the 12-hour, we're really high, right? We're just outside of this overbought area. We've got a long way to go down on these larger time frames. So as I start scaling this up, you can start to see, okay, well, yeah, we've got some pretty reasonable areas to come down to. Now, it's not to say that we can't rally up one more time for a small move. We probably could have another 5% bump to the upside here and just kind of ride this upper area on the stochastic RSI. That's definitely possible, but probability-wise, not so sure. On the 16-hour, you can see again up in the overbought area. Very similarly, we can come back down quite a bit. And yeah, so we just keep an eye on that. We're keeping an eye on the 20-hour as well, just peeping down just a fraction. But we are overbought on the daily, so the daily does need to come down. Now, the weekly, we have just entered into the oversold area, meaning that we have got some potential to see this reverse, but not yet. Normally we're down here for a while, so I would expect us to be down here for a couple of weeks or so in this oversold area. And yeah, so therefore I think, yeah, $13,000 to $14,000 is a nice area where we might start seeing a bit more of a swing to the upside. But for now, I'm thinking we've still got some room to the downside to be had. So for the most part, my expectations are that, you know, we're either going to completely break out of this triangular pattern that's forming out here, or we are going to completely break down from it. At the moment, like I said yesterday, we're ranging basically between the demand zone and the supply zones. This is basically between $16,500 and $16,800 on the demand side, and then on the supply side, we're looking at about $17,200 to about $17,400. And so basically all we're doing, and then we have been doing this pretty much since the 1st of December, is basically just trading sideways, but we are getting ourselves coiled up into a bigger move. On the smaller time frames, it looks like an upward move to the supply zone. On the slightly larger time frames, though, it looks like we probably might have to revisit the demand zone one more time before we actually get that move to the upside. So yeah, looking at it, it looks like we completed 3 waves up. But this could also be an overextension within the wave C. And if that is the case, then we might actually start to see this B wave movement here being a middle ground. It could even be an X wave. And we have a WXYXZ move going on here. That's also possible. But I'd be very, very cautious until we get a confirmation of the move of what is going on when it comes to BTC. So guys, I'm going to leave this video right there. If you have found it useful and informative, smash the like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. subscribe, tapping the bell, selecting all the notifications. You will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Join us down in Discord. It is a centralized hub of everything that we do. And if you're looking at the 𝗕𝗃𝗪𝗪s NFT, you're going to want to be in the Discord server. There's some exciting stuff happening with that partnership. So go ahead, check it out. Links in the description below. Until the next one, have a fantastic day.